everyone, thanks for joining us today for our wonderful student panel. Today we have Artemis, Sophie, Chang and Sam who are joining us, and we're just going to talk a little bit about their uni experience and what they do at Monash. So I hope you enjoy. I'll just stop sharing my screen and we'll go to full-on Brady Bunch mode. All right, excellent. So firstly, what we're going to do is I'm just going to get each of the students to introduce themselves quickly. I'll start with Sophie because she is in my top left corner. So we'll start with Sophie. If you'd like to give us a bit of a spiel about who you are and what you do at Monash, it would be great.
Hi everyone, I'm Sophie. I'm in my honours year, so my fourth year of the Bachelor of Science Advanced Research. And I'm doing an extended major in chemistry and I did a minor in maths.
Jay, can you take it away, please?
Yeah, I am a final year student in science and computer science. I'm also my fourth year. And in science, I'm doing an extended major in maths. And in computer science, I'm doing a data science specialization.
Cool. And Sam, can you take it away?
Yeah, I'm Sam. So I'm currently in my third year of a degree, so year before honours. And I'm currently finishing off an extended major in earth science, specialising in geoscience, hence the rocks. And I've also done a minor in physics and mathematics.
Excellent. And Artemis?
Hi everyone, I'm Artemis and I do a double degree in arts and science. I major in environmental science for my science degree and human geography for my arts with a minor in media communications, and I'm also in my fourth year. So
cool. Excellent. Thanks, guys. Now, the reason why I've asked these students to be with us today is because obviously they're quite far along in their degree, so they have a lot of things to talk about, and they've done many, many, many cool things whilst they've been at Monash. The first thing I will ask about, though, is most of you are doing an extended major. What does that mean? Does anybody want to put their hand up to answer that?
Yeah, I can do it. So basically,
yep.
A regular major is you do 8 units or 8 subjects, which are related to that field of study. So for example, for me, if I want to do an earth science major, I do 8 earth science units. But because I'm doing an extended major, that means I do 4 extra units on top of that. So I do at least 12 units in earth science, and that gives me an extended major rather than just a regular major.
Thanks, Sam. All right, so that's a little bit of an introduction of our wonderful students, and what we're going to do now is just ask them a couple of questions about their life at Monash. I mean, obviously, we can't be with you at Open Day this year, where we are all together in one room and having a great time on campus, so we thought it would be good to bring the students to you. So let's give it a go. So does anybody want to tell me what their favourite thing about their course has been so far? I mean, I know there's probably a lot of them, but does anybody want to take a highlight out of that reel?
I guess I can go first.
Yes,
so my favourite part by far was definitely, I did a unit in third year, which was called Chemistry Study Abroad. And it was a unit where I got the chance to go over to Leipzig University in Germany for 5 weeks and basically do a research project, which means I've kind of conducted my own brand new research under a supervisor over in Germany, and that counted as a unit. So basically I got to travel, also do some uni credit, and that was in between semester 1 and semester 2. So that was definitely my highlight.
Cool. Has anybody else done anything overseas? Maybe Chang, you want to take it away and tell us what you did?
Yeah, so I also did some stuff overseas, but I did a whole semester instead of just 1 unit, and it was at KTH in Sweden. And so I got to travel for 5 months. I got to really embed myself in the culture, have a lot of fika, and yeah, it was really good. And I mean, wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Now, Chang, was it the cold part of the year or was it the hot part of the year?
It was the cold part of the year, but actually the year I went, which was just this January, it was really warm. We only had like 2 days of snow in the entire 2 months of winter that I was there. So I was pretty sad about that. But
cheated, Chang. You go all the way to Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, I bought this warm jacket in Sweden. I was so ready, but yeah.
No, that's all right. And Artemis, where did you go? You went to Italy, didn't you?
Yeah. So on the same line, I went to the Cinque Terre in Italy just in November, and again, it was sort of warm for their winter, but it was really, really stunning. And they have the Cinque Terre has actually got a microclimate because it's like mountains and sea, and so it traps all the heat. So it is actually generally a bit warmer there than it is in the rest of Italy, like the northern part. But it was absolutely stunning. Got to do my own, we got to do research projects on our own and get to talk to the locals, and explore around the beautiful vineyards by the ocean on the mountaintops. It was just stunning. So a really great experience, and definitely helped to give like an overview basically of all the 3 years of study that I've done. It helped to basically bring that all together, all the learning.
Cool. And that was, what subject was that? Because that's a particular subject you can do, isn't it, overseas?
This was under environmental science and human geography. So because I do both, it was especially helpful. Just like hammer on the nail, just perfect. And it was really, really helpful for me. And also, I mean, I'm Greek, so it's like the neighbour for me. So it was really nice to see you for the first time. Got to taste all their food, and really, really good. So no, very, very helpful.
Cool. Now, Sam, I'm not sure if you've been overseas for any of your study tours or trips, but I do know you have been on lots of study tours and field trips in your time at Monash. So I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, unfortunately, no overseas ones. But yeah, as part of geology, you obviously have to go to where the rocks are, which is outside. And so probably so I've been on a few field trips. There's one to Phillip Island, one to San Remo, one to the Great Ocean Road, Cape Liptrap, Omeo, etc. There's heaps of field trips you do in earth science. But probably my favorite one was last year I did a geological mapping unit, and we went for 10 days to Buchan in eastern Victoria and Gippsland, which is kind of near Bairnsdale. It's famous for its caves because lots of limestone around there. And so, yeah, so we went there, we did our field mapping, and then we did some other things, like we visited the deepest gorge in Victoria there. And the other thing we did was we looked for fossils, because there's lots of fossils around there because of all the limestone. And I ended up finding this, not sure how well you can see that because my camera's bad, but this thing here is, that's a 400-million-year-old seashell from the limestone I found. And I found that myself. Side, just on the ground, you just hit it open with a hammer, bam, seashell. So yeah, that was a fun field trip. And if you do earth science or any EAE subjects, which is Earth, Atmosphere and Environment, there's lots of opportunities for things like that without having to go overseas.
That's very cool. So you're just walking along and you're like, oh, that looks like a rock that might have a fossil in it, and you just pick it. I guess you would know. You would have a bit more of an educated guess than the usual pleb. Not
really. It was very good. It's like, we literally they just took us to a field, which is called the Potholes Cave Reserve, and they're just like, okay, then they gave us hammers, and like, okay, just smash rocks, you might find something. This is like the only thing I found in the whole hour of just smashing rocks.
It's pretty good. It's 400 million years old. So
yeah, I mean, smashing rocks is fun in itself. So yeah, good time.
So all of you are doing different majors in sort of different areas of science. So I can tell already from those stories and anecdotes that it's quite hands-on. Would you agree? Is there lots of labs and hands-on stuff as part of your science degree? Obviously, you've got maths and data stuff and environmental science and things like that. So how much of your time would you be spending in a lab or doing hands-on stuff as part of your course? Maybe Sophie, you can tell us.
Yeah, so as a chemist, in first year chemistry, you're kind of spending either 3 to 4 hours in the lab every single week, which is hugely important for if you want to progress into chemistry as well. Just getting basic lab skills it's just so much more hands-on than you get in VCE or kind of in your schooling studies, and it's really, really fun to be able to just kind of make some new compounds from scratch, basically, which you don't really get the chance to do, and you don't really get the chance to use a lot of the techniques that are used in real research until you get to uni. So yeah.
Cool. And Chang, you're doing maths, so is that a bit different with
yeah, it is a little bit different. Like, I'm listening to all these stories about chemistry and EAE. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of missing out, aren't I? I don't really have any labs where I have to like do stuff with my hands, but we do. Well, the Faculty of Mathematics, we do a bunch of we do tutorials, and they've recently changed it. I say recently, like 5 years ago, but like they changed it so that it's always group work, but it's not assessed or anything. So really, it's just a nice way to bounce off ideas off your mates, to work together on a problem and really like talk about it to each other. So even though it could be a really individual subject, and a lot of times it is, I really enjoy the tutorials and the group work aspect of it.
Cool. And Sam, do you have any, have you used some of the outdoor classrooms at Monash, like the EAE Rock Garden or anything like that in your time at Monash?
Yeah, I definitely have. So if you don't know, there's a big rock garden outside the Earth, Atmosphere and Environment building. We've got the different rock types from all over Victoria. And it's been really cleverly set up so they can use it in lots of geology kind of related things. So for example, they've put different slabs of rock at different angles so you can measure like the folds in the rock. There's also different rock types so you can create a geological map of the area. And also for geophysics, we had a thing where basically we measured how magnetic each of the rocks were. So we could like kind of, and so we actually just got a magnetometer, just held it up straight up to the rock and just measured it all, just to kind of measure the physical properties of all the rocks. So that's very useful.
Cool.
Yeah, and they've also done some lab work in physics as well, and they've got lots of stuff in the physics lab. They've got like microwave guns. Like I remember one of the experiments, they just gave us a chunk of silver and they put in a radiation source and we had to measure the half-life of the things. They were told us not to touch it, so we didn't. Yeah, but it's like lots of stuff. Like I remember once we were using, we're doing interferometry, which is like when you get two light beams and two laser beams and they interact with each other and get like these really pretty rainbow patterns. Basically, you get to use lots of really cool, very high-tech stuff in the physics labs, which you really would not have access to otherwise. And I've heard in third year physics stuff, you get to do things like use electron microscopes and stuff. So there's really lots of good experience in the physics labs as well. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. And Artemis, I'm not sure about environmental science, but it sounds like you probably also do lots of hands-on stuff.
Yeah, well, interesting because I started off, biology. I started off doing something completely different. I was doing geology, I was doing biology, and my arts degree, which I do human geography with, I wasn't even doing that. It was completely different. So there were a lot of initial labs, like Sophie said, like I had to do the 3 hours per week for biology. And then when I started doing environmental science in the second semester of my first year, that was also labs. There were compulsory aspects to doing, there's a compulsory aspects to all of science where you had to do the maths. I tried to wipe that out in first year, so I never had to do it again, but it comes up all the time. But then eventually I sort of realized that lab work, doing the physical aspect of environmental science, like researching and wasn't exactly my passion. So I started going towards more of the softer social sciencey parts of environmental science. But then I do the hands-on stuff outside of university. So I'm a part of a few other groups where I get to I get to look at some fossils as well outside of the classroom. So it's fun. Yeah.
That's cool. And like Artemis, has anybody had basically an occasion where they started off doing one thing when they started in their science degree, and then they changed their major? Or have you all been pretty set on what you wanted to do right from the word go? Or have you changed your course? Is it pretty flexible? I don't know if anybody wants to talk to that.
So, yeah, I've got kind of a thing like that.
Yeah.
So when I came to my plan was basically science of some sort. That was about as heated as I got. And I knew I liked biology. I was actually thinking of doing a genetics major. I also liked earth science, and I also liked physics as well. So basically I was able to do all three of those in my first year all together. And then by the time I got to the second year, I was able to choose some specialization. So in second year, I decided to drop biology because I quite like physics and maths and geology. So I did my physics and maths minors. And then after the end of the year, I decided I do enjoy physics, but it's getting a bit too mathsy for me. So yeah, so I was like, I prefer rocks. And so basically I went from wanting to do a genetics major to ended up doing a geology extended major. And also, I'm now planning to work in industry, whereas when I started, I was planning to do research. So yeah, but the thing is, the degree is so flexible. I had a lot of time and experience to kind of work at which units I enjoyed and easily change to them. So don't worry about getting locked in. It's flexible enough, you won't get locked in.
Cool. Excellent.
I kind of had the opposite story where I thought I was coming into it, I might do physics, I might do maths, I might do astrophysics. And then I thought, this physics is kind of not enough maths for me, so I thought I'm gonna drop that and just an extended maths major. And yeah,
Chang is one of those people that does love maths. He loves it. So, but that's okay. I don't understand it, but I can respect it. So, it's good. It's good. It's one of those things that I always wish I was better at when I was younger, is maths, and I was always terrible. So good on you, Chang. It's really good. That being said, now you're kind of almost to the end of your degree. Has anyone done an interesting internship or fun stuff in their sort of final year or third year that they might want to talk about? Because I know, Artemis, you did have an interesting internship quite recently, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky just before coronavirus hit to get an internship with the state government. So I was in the Department of Premier and Cabinet, and I was working specifically in the climate and energy team in the Energy Resources and Environment Department. So, you know, they have so many teams and so many acronyms and just everything, but really, really great experience. And it was sort of a shock because, well, first of all, the biggest change for me was understanding what the workforce was like. So actually, there's a lot of work to do. So the day passes, you know, so quickly, and you have a lot of research and a lot of you know, tasks to do, because the basically what my internship was that the Department of Premier and Cabinet is sort of like the communications aspect of the energy resources and environment aspect. So you have DELP, which does the research, which is the Department of Environment, Land, Project, whatever their acronym is. They do the research, and then we also do a lot of the research, but we're more of the we write up the briefs and we write up the communications aspect to advise the Premier or advise the Secretary or advise other people in the state government. And it was really, really an incredible, intense experience for 3 months. And we had the bushfires as well. So when I started, it was that they were the headlines, and really, really intense. Everything was, all the projects that were initially on the go, you know, fisheries or forestry or energy, all that was put to the side, and we had to deal with a lot of the bushfire concerns and questions, and you know, establishing new grants. Like every day we had to write off something, sent to the Premier to get him to sign and have it put in place so that people could get bursaries or grants, get money for, you know, burnt land. But then towards the end of the internship, it just nearly died. Like everything just nearly shut down, because all the focus was towards the health and the mental health sections, and dealing with this novel, you know, crisis. So yeah, really two ends of the spectrum, from going from really busy to actually, you know, doing the normal amount to having literally nothing. And but really incredible experience. Yeah.
I guess it kind of shows that, you know, when you're working in government and policy, it just, you've got to go with whatever is top of mind at the time, and you've just got to keep, you know, pushing through whatever is the, you know, the most important thing. So it's really, really cool. A very insightful sort of insight into the workplace, especially the government workplace. So that's very cool. Anybody else have any cool internships or jobs or summer projects or anything that they've done? Sophie?
Yeah, so I talked already about the Germany project, but kind of when I came back, I ended up doing a 3rd year research project, which basically you kind of have the opportunity, exact same thing as I did over there, go over and work under a supervisor on your own project, but I did it here at Monash. So I was looking at trying to catalyze reactions using just electric fields. People that might do chemistry in school might know that you add a catalyst to a reaction, and we basically were trying to catalyze a reaction without adding anything else to it. So that was really cool. But also then I did kind of the opposite over the summer. I did a internship within industry rather than at uni. So I was focusing on, I was a technical intern at PPG, which is a big paint company. There I was kind of based in the labs that made paint for like your shed and fences and things like that. So I was there trying to make kind of work out the best formulation for damage resistant paints. So I've got one side where I'm doing very, very niche work at uni, but it's for kind of actual academia, whereas on the other side I kind of did industry-based research, which is more focused on making a product better. So you can do kind of, there's completely different sides of science as well, and I've had the chance to see both of them, and I do like them both, which is a bit annoying for me choosing what I want to do, but yeah, that's pretty much me lately.
Cool. Anyone else got a cool internship or summer job or anything they did? Sam?
Yeah, I've got something a bit like that. So because I'm enrolled in the research degree, so in the research degree you get more opportunities to do research than people in the standard Bachelor of Science degree. So in the summer holidays after my 1st year, I had the opportunity to do a research project, and so what I did was because at this point I was still interested in genetics. So I ended up doing a genetics research project in a fruit fly lab. So we're looking at male infertility and how zinc controls that. So we found, so basically my supervisor had picked out a few genes he was interested in, which he think may affect the fertility of the fruit flies. So then we just kind of crossed all the fruit flies together, put these genes to them, and just saw which ones laid eggs, which ones didn't. And yeah, that's lasted a couple of months, and that was quite interesting. So even though I'm not doing genetics now, it was a good experience just getting into an actual lab doing actual research.
Cool.
And also more recently, I started at the start of this year, I did a geology research project. So pretty much I was looking at a type of iron ore, which is called goethite, and there's an element called phosphorus, which is to go into it. And the problem with this is if you put that into steel, it makes really bad steel. So you don't want the phosphorus in it. So, but the thing is, no one actually knows why it's in there. So we're trying to work out how it actually gets in there because it's a bit of a weird size. And so I'm meant to be continuing that at the moment as part of a third year research project. Because of COVID, it's been delayed till basically at least week 8 till I can get into the lab. But so hopefully that goes ahead soon. But yeah, it's basically, there's lots of opportunities if you're interested in doing research, especially if you do the research degree. But even if you don't, there's still opportunities.
Now, Chang, I know that you did an internship with your IT degree, which is one of the other key benefits of doing a double degree with science. But you probably have something else to tell me too.
Yeah, so about the internship, I actually had to put that off because my exchange kind of led into that timetable. That time term, and I just thought, nah, it's not worth it. I'd rather go on exchange than do an internship. So I dropped that. But in maths, in science and in maths, I did a summer research project as well in gravitational waves. So mine was more pure focused. So I kind of learned about like the foundations and like the tensor fields and like the 4-dimensional stuff. But what I ended up doing was I did a lot of extra learning on top of my degree because to get to the point where you know what's going on, you have to basically take almost half an honours course, half an honours year, half an honours unit worth of learning to at least know what you're talking about. And then, so even though I wasn't really ready to make a new discovery like these, like everyone else was, I learned a lot, and then I could understand what we were talking about. And that gave me a taste of what maths research was like if I decide to pursue it in the future. So yeah, that was really good as well.
Excellent. Now, Chang, you've got something lined up for next year, haven't you? So
yeah, the research project. I feel like it wasn't for me. I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun. Working with a supervisor was really good, but I decided that I wanted something less. I wanted something more industry to see what industry is like because I hadn't done an internship yet. I want to see what it's like, and so I applied for something and I got it, and so I'm doing a grad role. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say. I'm doing a grad role next year in data. I'm doing a grad role at Telstra in the data department. Thanks. And that starts next year. So I'm really excited to see where that goes.
That's cool. Now, Chang and Artemis are both doing double degrees, which is why Chang's doing a major in data science in his computer science course. So that's why he's got this data science role. For those of you who are doing double degrees, what would you say the best thing is about doing a double degree, in your opinion?
Well, so shall we take it back to year 12? I was an indecisive person. Like I just couldn't pick between, I knew my passion was science, but I really didn't want to leave arts behind. I find that really fascinating. I've always had an interest in just everything. I just really couldn't pinpoint. And for my arts degree, I started off doing philosophy and psychology, and I finished my media minor, but human geography, like completely different. And I mean, they were just, it was a working process, but I love having the double degree because you get, not only do you get, different learning experiences other than just pure science. So, I get to do my media and I get to learn about the humanistic aspects to the rocks, trees and like plants degree that I do for environmental science, but you develop different skills. So science is a lot of research methods and a lot of rigorous, procedures, and there's a very strict formula to doing a lot of different aspects to, get a discovery or anything like that. But then for the arts degree, you tend to use a lot more of your critical analysis skills. Communication is another aspect. So in science, they make you do a science communications unit, but that is constantly what I do in the arts degree. And employing a lot what I've learned from that really helps with environmental science, because, you know, I deal with the topic of climate change all the time, and one of the big problems with that is climate communication. So I was able to do that specific subject in media. So I didn't do that in my science degree, I did in my arts degree. So it was, I get to blend, and they overlap a lot. So it's, yeah, different ways of thinking, but they both blend in perfectly.
Cool. And Chang, what do you reckon about the double
Yeah.
degree? What's the best thing for you?
Yeah, definitely. I support the way like you get the best of both worlds. So like every time they teach maths in computer science, it's kind of like but every time they teach coding in maths, it's kind of like But then when you do both, them both, you're like, oh yes, I got the best coding learning from my computer science. I got the best maths from my maths side. And also it kind of helped me learn. It kind of helped me figure out kind of how I could merge them, and and which one I want to do more, or how I could get them both to work for me, which I did. And if I didn't do a double degree, I kind of would have had to choose right away before I could see what it was like. So yeah.
And I guess that's a really important part of uni, is sort of trying a lot of things and doing as many experiences as you can, and you know, trying the research project in maths and realizing that that's not really for you, or going and trying a major and then realizing, you know, you want to change your mind. And that's part of the beauty of doing science and doing a double degree, is that there is that flexibility there. You don't have to make your mind up straight away, and you might encounter something amazing along the way and go, oh, you know what, that's exactly what I want to do. Because I mean, lots of year 12s finish school and they think they know exactly who they are and they know exactly what they want to do, and then they get 1 or 2 years into uni and then they think, oh, how could I have even thought that? So I know, Sophie, you're nodding. Do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I mean, I just went in from year 12 absolutely loving maths, and I did like chemistry as well, but it wasn't until I did first year and how different both chemistry and maths were at uni compared to school, that I was like, oh, I'm okay, I'm going to jump from doing like a double major or even like a maths extended to doing a chemistry extended major, because that's basically my take on it. That the more I did it, the more I loved chemistry.
If anyone had any advice to give their year 12 self, what would they tell themselves? No one wants to say.
I'll go first. Don't take your score too seriously. Like, well, obviously it's important to try and get a good score, but it's, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Once you get into your course, you never talk about it again. I don't think I've talked about my ATAR since I got my ATAR and got into my course. So it's not the end of the world. There are other pathways as well if you don't quite get what you want to get in. So it's definitely more than the score you get, basically.
Yeah. Anybody else have some sage advice for the year 12 self they want to say?
Overall, I guess I got pretty lucky, and even though I didn't know what I know now, it worked out really well. But I think what I'm glad I did do was just keep up what I like. Don't feel pressure to spend your ATAR, or don't feel pressure to like, you should do this for more money or for whatever. Just do what you like, and then you'll find something along the way. So I got lucky, and that did happen to me, and I hope that it happens to everyone else as well.
Cool. Excellent. Well, Artemis, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. If you hear some bumping, my dog's trying to break through the door. I put like a piano stool to make sure it doesn't get in. Anyway, but I would say just stick with your passion. That's such a cliche, but I, as I said, I really wasn't sure about what I wanted to do. I just knew that I was really, I just knew I cared a lot about environmental issues, and I tried to keep my options broad. So when I got into university, I wasn't limited to just one. And that really helped, because eventually, as I said, I was doing the arts degree and then I switched, but I nearly dropped the arts degree completely because I just wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. Philosophy was just too abstract for me, and psychology wasn't my passion. So nearly dropped it, and then just literally looked at the different subject selections and thought, oh, they look cool. And it just reinvigorated. I was looking at all of the different opportunities at Monash for an arts degree, and even for science. Like if you were doing this in science, it would just be, it's exciting. You start looking at everything you can do and imagining the combinations you could make together, and just following something that really interests you would just keep regenerating the same excitement that you want for the rest of your career. You know, keeping that interest alive in what you're doing. It'll make everything worth it. So that's the advice I have for sure. And you know, regardless of what sort of grade you get, you know, if I'm being frank, I wasn't at the top of the ATAR scale when it came to getting into science. Like I did, I got in, but just by a hair. And but either way, if that's what I really wanted to do, if I wanted to do something else, there will be many pathways. So just being passionate about something it'll end up working for you, like hands down every time. So definitely follow passion.
So true. And Sam, do you want to add one last thing to that and we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, probably the thing I'd say is just have a rough goal. Like it doesn't have to be definite, it doesn't have to be concrete, but just like have a rough idea of where you want to head. And it can always change, but I find it's always just good to have an idea in mind. So like when I went in, my goal was like, okay, I'll do a genetics major. So I was like working towards that. And then when I got in, I was like, okay, I'll change it. But the main thing is just always have a plan, work out what your options are, and basically just keep on top of what your options are. So you don't end up getting stuck in something you don't like. But the thing is, have a rough goal and then just follow it, but don't be scared to change it. That's probably my main advice. Cool.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to carry this on for too long, so I think we'll say bye. So if everyone just wants to wave goodbye, thanks for joining us today. I hope you've had some good insights. If you do want to chat to any of our wonderful science student ambassadors, you can make an appointment through the Essential Guide to Science. There will be links on the Open Day webpage. So if you are interested, you can make an appointment to chat to any of our wonderful student ambassadors. We'll try and match you up with somebody who might be interested in the same thing as you. So until then, everyone, good luck for the rest of the year, and hopefully we'll see you later. Bye. All right.